Good morning everyone. I have a super exciting video today. I'm doing Garibaldi. This is one of the most beautiful hikes I did in the past and I've been waiting since 2019 to do it again. But this is going to be the first video of what's in my camera bag, hiking edition, because I learned a lot from that hike and I think it's very important to be careful on what you're bringing inside of your camera bag. So I'm going to show everything that I have to take these videos and also take some photos during this little hike. For those of you who are new to this channel, I'm Bellemare-Alford, a young photographer and filmmaker on a journey to become better at this art. About 3 years ago, so in 2019, almost day for day, we did this hike for the first time. At the time, I had a huge backpack with so much stuff inside of it, so I had all my camera gear. I wanted to vlog, so it was actually the first tutorial I ever made on YouTube was filmed that day, but it was so heavy to bring around. So I learned after that hike, it's actually very important to, first of all, have a smaller backpack and really only bring what you need. Because on these long hikes, not having too much equipment is going to be super important to make sure that you can get through it in a better shape in the end.
This hike 5 times already.
Are you talking for the camera?
Yeah.
When we looked online, we saw it was about 10 kilometers to go to the lake, and we saw some beautiful views online. We looked at the pictures. We knew we really wanted to do this, but our plan was to come here, walk up to the mountain. We thought it was 10 kilometers, so 5 up, 5 down, and then go to Whistler for the rest of the day for lunch. So we didn't bring much to eat or to plan for that day. I forgot why I love this hike so much, and it's because as you go, the closer you get to the viewpoints and the further you go, the views just become better and better non-stop. It's really cool, but we're almost here at the first incredible viewpoint. This was a crazy detour, but there's snow now and some nice trees and it doesn't seem as bad. So we're getting to our first viewpoint of the lake. I'm really hoping we're getting there soon to enjoy the view because the color of the water and the mountains are amazing, just amazing. And then we realized that when we got to the lake, it was already 10 kilometers that we've done at that point. We were already tired, already going through a lot of our water and our food, and we didn't bring a lunch. I did have a few snacks, so we ate the snacks. I finally made it to the lake, and wow, I forgot how amazing the view right here is. The color of the water is simply amazing. It was a little bit harder to get here because some of the path was closed, but super happy to be here. So I think now it's time to talk about what is inside of my backpack. And the most important thing to start talking about is which backpack I have. So here I have the Peak Design Everyday Backpack. I think it's version 1 that I have right here. I actually have a review on this bike. My opinion hasn't changed. It's a great backpack, really like it. I had it for about 3 years it still looks almost brand new. It's a really well built bag and just has all kinds of features that are really neat about it. So first of all, there's all these attachments all around the bag. So here I have my bear spray in the front, but I could also attach something like a coat or something like that underneath right here, which I do a lot. Just pockets on both sides, which is pretty great. But my favorite feature is actually when it's on my back here, I can simply swing it around here and open the bag and access all of the content from the side here. This is such a useful feature because if you're a little bit clumsy like I am, here it makes it that when I want to come inside of here and change my lens, I can actually do all everything here and making sure that nothing falls down, and it gives me really quick access to everything inside here. So that's one of the reasons why I simply love this bag. So first of all, on the side here, I have my Insta360 One X2. Great little camera here that I always have on the side because it's great for when I'm hiking or things like that, and I keep it very accessible. On the other side here, this is normally where I would have my tripod while I'm walking up, but I currently have my camera on the tripod here, so that's why it's not on the side of my bag. Finally, if we look at the back here, you might realize that there's this weird thing. This is for water, so this allows me to drink my water, which is very important on a day like here where it's a long hike and it's gonna be pretty warm during the whole day. The last little accessory here is the Peak Design plate, I think it's called. I'm gonna change the name if it's wrong, but this is a must-have. Honestly, it's very expensive and I can understand why some people might hesitate before buying it, but it's definitely one of the piece of gears that I use the most and it's the greatest because while I'm hiking, I can simply clip in my camera right here and then continue doing my hike. So it's great having this very quick access to my equipment, so my camera, so when I'm vlogging and things like that, it's very good to have this, and it's super sturdy. There's no problem at all. Even when I have a long lens on my camera, there's no problem at all having it here. So this is a look of what is outside of my bag. We're going to continue. We actually have to go to the top of the mountain there for our next point, and I'm going to talk about what is inside of my bag once we get to the top there. Even the view was beautiful at the bottom of the lake. We knew that the better view was going to be at the top of the mountain. So the next point we decided is to go up to the top, and it's on the sign that was 7 kilometers. We did the second time the same error, thinking that it was 7 kilometers up and down in total when it was only 7 kilometers one way. So we got here in the morning at 8 a.m., got to the top of the mountain where there was snow. We were not prepared at all for snow that day. Wow, just wow. Crampons and rock, they're not the best mix. I think they're making it harder right now to go up instead of easier. But we're back in the snow in just a few seconds. Ready to go back in snow, Jay? Last little push. Wow. Oh no, not supposed to say it yet. Good job. Wow. Crazy. The color of the water.
No, it's not.
When we got to the top, the view were amazing. But it was also 4 p.m. at that point, so it was getting pretty late and we had to go back down. So we started going back down knowing we had about now 17 kilometers to go down in about 4 hours before it was dark. That's crazy! Enjoying the way down?
Oh, man.
So much fun! This was so much fun. The views are still amazing going down and sliding down. Wow, so much fun. So we rushed down to the bottom of the mountain, and it was one of the hardest hikes in my whole life. Honestly, at the end, every time we were on the switchback, we would stop at the end to take a break, and at the end of the hike, my whole body was shaking like crazy. Picture 2. Yes. It's actually funny, it's like on the side. How fresh is that water, Trevor?
It tastes like nothing.
We made it back. I basically have no legs left. So super happy to be at the car and heading back. Probably not gonna finish this video today. That's probably gonna go to another day. We're now about 3 weeks later, and I think I finally found a view that can rival what we had at Garibaldi. So now let's talk about what's inside of my camera bag. So just like I said before, I love being able to switch this, just turn it around and have quick access to the stuff inside of here. So everything that's the most important to me is gonna be on this side. So if we're gonna start with inside of this pocket here, there's a bunch of small little important things. So first of all, here I have a little case with a bunch of memory cards. You always wanna have more memory cards than just one inside the camera, because you never know when you're gonna fill one up or forget to empty one. Then I have a bunch of these little cloths to be able to clean my lenses and cameras. And finally, I also have some cleaning products for when my lenses become too dirty. Then if we come here, I have a USB adapter here. So this is a Type A adapter for micro SD and SD card slot. And I also have this adapter from USB-A to USB-C. But this was very useful in the past, and it's still useful if I go to someone else or somebody who wants to have access to my files. It's very important to always have that inside of your camera bag. The next thing here is actually the one very important. These are extra batteries that I have right here for my Sony. So I bought these Wasabi power batteries, and up to now they've been working perfectly. They're much cheaper than the ones from Sony, and they work just as well in my opinion. We have here a filter, so it's actually on my camera right now that I'm using to film, and this is a ND filter that I use for when I'm filming video to have some motion blur. I have other videos that talk about why it's important to have these types of filters to get some motion blur inside of video. And then I usually have some snacks. So this is something I learned the hard way, is that when you're hiking around, you always want to be sure that you have some snacks with you. So usually I always leave a few of these energy bars inside of my camera backpack, because I never know when I'm going to use them. And I also usually have some trail mix nuts or something like that, just to make sure that whenever I'm hungry or if I'm missing a little bit of energy, I can quickly get some more energy. And then usually I have my Sony a7 IV right here. So this is when it's not in the clip on the front. I actually have it inside of the bag in the back here. So this is more safe if I'm going down or something like that, and I don't want to break the camera. I leave it inside of the camera bag right here, but I'm using it right now to film. So that's why I don't have it inside. Then on the side here, on the other division, I have my second lens right here, which is a 28-200 from Tamron. I really love these lenses from Tamron. So I have the 17-28 and the 28-200. These are really great lenses. They're much cheaper than the Sony ones, but honestly, they work almost flawlessly. So very impressive for the price. Then the next little accessory is actually one that I bought right before going on my trip for Garibaldi, because I used to have this huge Anker battery pack. But it was just way too heavy inside of my backpack, and I didn't use it that much, so I decided to go with a tiny small one. I made sure to have one that has fast charging. You want to make sure that you have that to be able to charge your things fast. So for example, with my phone, the DJI Pocket 2, things like that, start losing battery, or even my Sony a7 IV, I have this, and this is enough to recharge my phone 3 times, so it's more than enough. What is very important, because that happened in the past, actually the original Garibaldi video, I went up with a battery pack but didn't have the cables with it, so I always keep a few cables, and I always know I'm gonna be okay because they're always available right there. So on this second side, I keep things that I don't have access as easily, because usually I have my tripod on the side. Again, I'm using it to film right now, so that's why it's not here. But here I have my micro spikes. These were very important when I was at Garibaldi. There's no snow here, so there's no need for micro spikes, but I was sure to have them inside my bag, and they were super useful last time. Now, this is probably one of the things that I bought recently that's the most useful. It's a tiny coat, so it's a raincoat, but also blocks winds up to I think 30 kilometers per hour, and it's so light, it's so portable. I can always put it in my backpack, and that's one thing that was missing in the past, was having a coat like this. So I highly recommend getting one of those. This is a pocket that I usually don't access too much. So here I have a little Peak Design bag. I have some tools inside of here for my tripod and things like that. But honestly, I just don't use too much things inside of here. Then I have a few band-aids right here just to make sure that I'm always safe and I always have them if needed. Now let's talk about the last pocket, big pocket here. And this is a top pocket right here. So first of all, we have this little pouch here. I always have this one. This is usually with my audio equipment. So inside of here, I have some cables, some adapters, some dead cats. But what I use the most are the Rode wireless microphones. I have one on me right now here, and I have another one on the camera here. This is being a game changer for me because I used to forget to plug my microphones in, which was quite a problem in the past. But now I never forget because I can simply power them on in the morning, leave them running for the whole day, and make sure I have audio all day long. So this is very useful. Also in the past, sometimes by accident, I would trip inside of the wires and make my camera fall. So having a wireless microphone have been a game changer. This was the error I did last time. Or at least one of the errors I did last time was bringing a warmer sweater when I didn't need it. It took a lot of place inside of my bag, but I actually never used it in the end. I used it for a few minutes at the beginning, but I realized quickly that it was way too hot and didn't need it at all. So it was kind of a waste having this with me inside of my camera bag. I usually have a case for my glasses or something like that if I'm wearing glasses that day. Then I usually have a hat if I'm going on a big hike or something like that. You're gonna be surprised how many times I actually use the hat in the end, especially when there's snow at the top or something like that. It can become pretty cold pretty fast, or if you're going outside at night for astrophotography or things like that, having a hat is a must, definitely, to make sure that you can stay warm if you need to. I also usually have one of these little lights here. So this one is from Sandmark, but I also have some from Aperture. I love having these little lights because they're super useful if I need to film myself or something like that and get some light, but they're also great just in general if you need to have a little light on you or something like that and I don't have my headlight or something like that. They're much better than using the flashlight on your camera. Then I have another tool right here for my camera. If you have a Sony camera, you know that with these mirrorless cameras, they always have dust on the sensor, so you always have to be blowing the dust off the sensor and the lenses. So this is a must-have accessory. The last accessory I have right here, or tool, is my DJI Pocket 2. So this is concludes almost everything inside of my camera bag. But there's the last thing right here inside of the pocket, the back pocket right here. And this is my Kindle. I didn't have this one when I was hiking Garibaldi, but it's usually one that I have with me all the time because sometimes when you go on some hikes or you go on a photography adventure, you might be waiting for hours sometimes if I'm doing a time lapse or something like that, where there's not much to do. So I love bringing just a book or something like that. Sometimes I have YouTube videos on my cell phone, but I always make sure that I have something to pass time so I don't get bored when I'm doing photography. So this concludes what is inside of my camera bag, at least the version I had for Garibaldi. So now let's talk about why this bag was actually not optimal at all for my hike. And this comes down that it was just plain too heavy. After coming back from the hike, I actually passed 3 days with some back pain, which is really not something that is good. So if we look at a few errors I did, first of all, I brought my tripod that actually I didn't really use in the end. I did use it, but I could have asked a friend to just hold a camera and it would have been totally fine to do so. Also, I brought my coat that I wasn't using, brought a DJI Pocket 2 that I didn't use. So I had a bunch of stuff inside the camera bag that were taking some weight, but I didn't use at all during the whole day. So this was definitely a problem with my camera bag and just having too much weight inside of it. And this is one of the reasons why I don't always love the what's in my camera bag videos, because there's not a perfect setup for a camera bag. It always depends on the context of what you're doing, and you should adapt your camera bag depending on what you're doing. So for example, if I'm doing astrophotography, in one of my pockets, I'm definitely gonna have a headlamp or something like that. If it's during winter, I'm probably gonna have an extra pair of gloves. So depending on what I'm doing, I always adapt what's inside of my camera bag. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting the like button below, and definitely subscribe for more content on photography and filmmaking. I actually just filmed a video here that is pretty amazing. The photos I got and also the time lapses, the star trails. I'm really excited about this one. See you in the next one.